The name of the game is shame. It's so deeply rooted I can't even explain. Your uncle is coming, change your clothes. Your uncle is coming, go upstairs. Your uncle is coming, don't be so bare. As a girl, I was confused, wondering, will I be abused? By the skin of my teeth, I didn't fall victim, and after all these years, I understand their wisdom. But because they were afraid, inside me grew everlasting pain. Every man a monster, every woman a whore. If I step out of line, will I too be scorned? My view of the world so tarnished, around my neck was a harness. Never did I dare bring shame to the family name. And if I crossed that line, I made sure to stay contained. No real self-expression, my light was dimmed, only within the parameters, but the line was so thin. While growing older, I thought that shame would stay. But here at 24, healing it away. The name of the game is shame. You only lose if you decide to play. So I wrote that at 24. I am now 26 and it's just as real as ever. And I feel that I'm finally at a point where I'm realizing even deeper how much shame is rooted in all of my activities, in all of the way that I take action and in all of my decisions. My mother, when I was younger, used to tell me before I would leave the house to go out or whatever, she would say that your father is in between your eyes and at your belt line. And you can ask, what does that mean? Pretty much, she said, every single time that I was faced with a decision to make, to remember him. And if I did not remember him in between my eyes, then if it ever got to my belt line, to remember him. So you could only imagine how much shame that garnered anytime I allowed anything or wanted anything. I'm realizing so deeply that I shame myself, for so many things, but for desire to want to be touched, desire to want to be loved, desire to want money, desire to anything that I use the word desire or have that feeling of desire, I feel a shame attached to it. And I believe that we all do. I believe that we grew up in a world where money was bad and money is evil, and the people that have money are evil and they're bad. And if you want to have more than you have already, then that's gluttonous and you don't need it, and God gives you what you need, and etc. And I am still a believer that God and the universe give me what I need, but also I believe that every emotion and every feeling that we feel here on this earth is supposed to be felt. And so desire is one of those. It is natural. And I think that it is crucial to desire and to gain those desires, of course, in a healthy way. But at the end of the day, nonetheless, it is healthy to desire. It is healthy to want more. And it is healthy to want to be desired also. With shame, I'm realizing that at least in the last few years of my life, I've been wanting to do better when it comes to self-discipline, do better as a person. I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to grow into a more well-rounded person. And through those things, you must garner self-discipline. And I didn't realize that in the last 2 years, all I've been doing to myself was shaming myself every single time I didn't make the right decision. And it's like, okay, I'm just doing what I was raised knowing to do best, to shame myself. If I didn't wake up early enough and I didn't go and journal and do my yoga, then, bad was all, you shouldn't have done that. I would feel like I was constantly in trouble. Me growing up, I always felt like I was in trouble. There was not a scenario in which I didn't feel like I was in trouble. Like, even if I was doing nothing and I already cleaned everything that day and the chicken was taken out for my mom, and it was defrosted and everything was good, Once I heard that car in the driveway, or once I heard that door open, I would spring up and be like, okay, is it like my natural state is that. And even now with my boyfriend, I feel that. Like when the door opens, I'm like, is everything correct? Like my natural state is to feel like I'm in trouble. And so it only makes sense that I have done this to myself, is I make myself feel like I'm in trouble from myself. And it's just not the way that it's not gonna change what I want it to change. What I want to change is, there are so many scenarios that shame is the main factor as to why things don't turn out the way that I want them to. For example, I spoke about this yesterday on TikTok, but the way that I grew up in a Arab, Muslim, Moroccan household, there's so many benefits to that. But at the end of the day, this was not a benefit, which was the shame aspect. Everything is shuma. That's called shameful. Literally everything. Like, genuinely, I did not hear shuma. I would hear that probably 10 times a day. For example, we're at an aunt's house and I didn't pick up my plate when I was done eating. Shuma. My uncle is coming and I am like laid up on my own couch in my own house and I'm not sitting like this. Shuma. If my mom asked me to go and take out the trash and I was like, oh, I'll do it later. Shuma. Everything. So this made me grow up with people-pleasing tendencies. I couldn't say no to authority. I have a really big problem with authority. And then also I have a big problem with no. When somebody older than me or an authoritative figure would say no, pushing back on that would be hashuma. So it would be extremely shameful if you pushed back on something that an authoritative figure or an older person said to you. So now, trying to become an entrepreneur or just a well-rounded individual, when somebody says no and I don't push back, then that's the end of it. Like, I take no as the ultimate answer, but the people that I see in my life that are extremely successful, they take no as the first answer and they come back with a rebuttal and they keep coming back and they keep coming back. And if the person says no for real, they respect it, but they say, oh, can I reach back out to you in 3 to 6 months? And then they actually do reach back out to them in 3 to 6 months. And so it's just so crazy that some people have this instilled in them to push to get what they want. And I think that that is so important. But for me, no means no. And of course, no should mean no when it comes to sexual matters or just when you're making somebody extremely uncomfortable. Like, please, let's be real with what I'm saying here. Let's be sensible. But in general, you should be able to push for what you want. And learning that at the ripe age of 26 is very, very interesting. I'm talking mainly about my own experience, but that's just what it is, my own. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that almost every single person, if not, dare I say, everyone on this planet has had shame affect them in some way, shape, or form. And what I do know is that it limits our growth, it limits our potential, it limits our self-expression. And I know I have a lot to express, and I know that every single one of you do as well. So really the purpose of this video is just to be able to open up the conversation for us to talk about how we've been affected by shame and how to help each other heal through that shame. Because at the end of the day, there is something that the world needs of you that is dampened and dimmed by shame, guilt, and all of these other low-level feelings and emotions. But at the end of the day, they are so fundamental to our growth to be able to let them go And without being able to let them go, we just simply won't be able to be the people that we want to be. So it's like, I just want, like I said, to have a space where we can speak about these things. Genuinely, at the bottom of my heart, I feel like now, after these years of just trying to understand what my purpose is in a way, like, and like, why are literal tears coming to my eyes? Excuse me, literal tears. I genuinely feel like I am the person or a person to help bring up the conversation of shame, and I just want to help us all be able to express that and speak about those moments and how they shaped us and how we can just finally fucking put them to rest. Please write down below in the comments a time in your childhood that you were shamed and it still affects you to this day. Let's just have an open discussion, because at the end of the day, in 2023, we realized nobody has an original thought, nobody's had an original situation. So let's use that to our advantage and help each other out. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Bye!